Here's a colony of sundew gems, making these patches of typical dirt extraordinarily shine and quite a sight to look at. This is just one of many types of sundews located in the midst of Africa's extremely diverse and exotic wildlife that will be displayed and explained in depth in this video. So what sort of plants are these and where are they found? Well, first we have to visit the continent of Africa. So what are sundews? Sundews are carnivorous plants that snag bugs out of the air with their sticky leaves, suffocate the insects by curling their tentacles all over the bodies of the helpless insects, and finally consume them using strong digestive juices that quickly break down the tissue of the now dead insects within days, and sometimes even just mere hours.
What the hell?
Well, yeah, let's get back into it now. There are currently more than 250 described species of sundews in the world, with many of them residing in Africa. With the insane amount of wildlife diversity, understanding all the sundew species from this region is going to be a huge challenge, and getting a taste of all these magnificent treasures is just what this series is for. From rosetted sundews that like drowning in bodies of water, to sundews that thrive growing in the dry vastness of desert-like terrain, to tropical sundews that climb several feet tall.
Continuing with the dry-growing species called the Xerics, which have an odd relationship with the wet-growing sundews that we may discover later on in the video. Speckling the sandy surfaces of South Africa's Hottentots Holland Mountains is a strange specimen, an anomaly that defies the rules of all other sundew species. Usually when we think of carnivorous plants, we think of moist ecosystems drowning in nutrient-poor boggy water, but here we have a rather odd exception. Drosera xerophylla, the dryland sundew, the epitome of Xerics. It's a newly discovered sundew, compact neon green with long, blood-red tentacles that reach out in all directions. Drosera xerophylla grows in quartzitic, dry, sandy soils made up of quartz sand, organic matter, and rock. These habitats host low vegetation and lots of grasses. Drosera xerophylla is a unique species and clearly a one-of-a-kind, but looking at its massive inhabited range, there's something really strange going on. It appears that through many thousands of years of adaptation and evolution, we find another branch.
The divergence.
Here lies Drosera esterhuyseniae. It's a larger species with shorter tentacles, but no less beautiful. Contrasting the barren soils beneath are its dewy, murderous leaves. The cute, paddle-shaped arms of Drosera esterhuyseniae are completely coated with a thick covering of white hairs on the undersides. This hairy covering is also called the indamentum. Drosera esterhuyseniae, like Drosera xerophylla, grows exclusively on sandy, rocky terrain. Drosera esterhuyseniae doesn't come alone, however. Its very close cousin, Drosera cunifolia, one of the largest African rosetted sundews, haunts the Table Mountains of the Cape Peninsula. Drosera cunifolia is one of my personal favorite sundew species. It wields majestic wedge-shaped leaves, fast-moving tentacles, and an overall incredibly beautiful structure. Though Drosera cunifolia is not a true xeric, it is a semi-dry growing species, yet it touches Drosera esterhuyseniae and Drosera xerophylla in the genetic tree. Drosera cunifolia typically grows in sandy or peaty soils in large clumping colonies. Its thick roots allow for offshoots to occasionally appear, forming these colonies and filling habitable space over time. North of Drosera xerophylla, still in Hottentots Holland, Drosera eregreenii slowly crawls up rocky surfaces of once again dry terrain. This species was named after the late Eric Green, who is a legend of the carnivorous plant world. His marks were extremely prevalent in sundews of the Cape region and carnivorous plants of modern cultivation. Going back to the species, Drosera eregreenii displays long stretched out leaves and a hairy indamentum similar to Drosera esterhuyseniae, but in lower magnitude. Its flower stalks are deep red and sometimes covered with white hairs. Next, we move on to arguably the most widespread xeric sundew, Drosera hilaris. By the shape of Drosera hilaris's leaves and its overall coloring, we can denote that it's closely related to Drosera eregreenii. This species oddly resembles Drosera capensis from last video, which is one of the most common wet-growing sundew species. Drosera hilaris is easily differentiated through its thick leaves and stem-growing nature. Going down to Cape Town, we find some more Drosera hilaris. Wait, no, it's a Cape sundew, isn't it? Why are the leaves so fuzzy? This species oddly resembles the Cape sundew from last video, but also looks extremely similar to Drosera hilaris in its red stem and stem-growing nature. This is Drosera rhamantacea, a rather perplexing species. We may speculate that species such as hilaris and rhamantacea are evolutionary marks that ultimately led to the xeric symbols like esterhuyseniae and xerophylla, meaning that these species are intermediate between the wet-growing and dry-growing species. That was just a small taste of the carnivorous plants that lie on this incredible continent. We still have much to explore. In the next video, we'll wade into the dense fynbos of South Africa to find an awaiting monster. Subscribe if you enjoyed the journey. We'll be back in the next one.